Good afternoon. Today I'm going to speak about why some people reach their goal and some don't. We often call this oscillating. When you oscillate, you oftentimes find yourself back where you started. It can be very frustrated and people oftentimes give up. In this modality, we emphasize on creating because we are creator. We are created at the image of our creator, and whatever our creator can do, we can do as well. However, if we do not create, we go towards the opposite polarity, which is disintegration. In this lesson, I will introduce an incredible graphic, the stick person. When you study the mind, you will understand how the mind works, and you will also understand why you will behave in a certain way when you are facing certain conflict. You may wonder why some people reach their goals while others struggle. It is all in your identity and your structure, and you will understand why sometimes you struggle. You may see people around you being successful and it appears to be easy to reach their goal, and pay great attention today because you will understand exactly precisely how the mind works and why sometimes you sabotage yourself. The graphic illustration of the mind we refer to as the stick person is without question the most valuable idea I have gained in close to many years of intensive research into the work of the mind. It is Dr. Thurman Fleet who came up with this concept. Dr. Thurman Fleet from San Antonio, Texas, who was very involved in the healing art. And Dr. Fleet realized that he and others in his profession were failing far short of doing the job that needed to be done. He said they were treating symptoms and not treating the cause of the problem. And he said if there's going to be any health, we would have to treat the person holistically. In other words, they had to treat the whole person. Think of your automobile, for example. Really think about it. Be aware that a picture, an image of your automobile is on the screen of your mind. Now quickly think of the front door of your home. Be aware that you have an image of the front of your door in your mind. And think of a loved one, someone you haven't seen for a long time. They too will appear on the screen of your mind. And now think of a hot air balloon or a spoon or a coffee cup. See how fast you can switch from one image to the other. Success isn't personal, it is structural. What is a structure? Structure is a term that refers to a single thing with parts, and these parts have an impact upon one another. A body has a structure, a chair, a song, a building, anything with individual parts, like an identity. Now let's look at the human mind to see how we can sabotage ourselves. There is three parts of the mind. First part is the self-conscious or the ego. The second part is the unconscious and the subconscious. And the third part, the superconscious. Self-conscious or the ego is your connection to the outside world. It has limited perspective. We often refer to the ego as the small self. It is in a way very stupid and limited. It doesn't want to change at all. It is the thinking mind. The unconscious or the subconscious, it is where all your knowledge is stored. It has also limited perspective. It runs your life as a cybernetic mechanism. It's like an autopilot, and it doesn't want to change. The superconscious, she is your higher self. She is your divine self. She knows everything. She can do all things. She is connected to the infinite intelligence, and she has unlimited perspective. Now let's look at the stick person concept. Dr. Thurman Fleet said that when it came to the area of the mind, there was nothing but confusion. He said, no one has ever seen the mind. Dr. Fleet decided to create an illustration of the mind, and here it is. This is the mind. You have the ego, the self-conscious, and the unconscious and subconscious. And you have your body, which is the expression of the mind. You are connected to the outside world through your ego by your five senses: what you see, what you hear, smell, touch, and taste. It is why we call it a limited perspective. Your unconscious and subconscious has is like a magic toolbox. You have 6 creative faculties and they are like muscles. If you do not practice them, they go dormant. However, if you practice them, they become stronger and stronger, and you can use these tools to create a life you love. And these creative faculties are intuition, imagination, willpower, reason, memory, and perception. And the third part, the superconscious, which is your connection to your divinity, and it's all around you. It's invisible and it's in every cell of your body, every pore of your body. It is your connection to the infinite intelligence, the universal mind, and some say it's God's fingerprint within you. Understanding is the key to freedom. Anytime you are setting a goal that results in skipping a couple of rungs on the ladder of success, you will run up against the terror barrier. Whenever you go to make a serious change in lifestyle, moving out of your comfort zone, you run up against the terror barrier. With any change that would come under the category of a major change in your behavior, the terror barrier will instantly and automatically be standing between you and the good that you desire. When this happens, you have a choice. You can step back into safety and continue to experience the same result year after year, or you can be courageous and experience the growth that you have been seeking. In the illustration of bondage, we show a person who is getting X-type result they do not really want. The results are caused by their X-type conditioning in the subconscious mind, and even though the person has the ability to choose whatever thoughts they want, they continue to create from the power that flows into their mind X-type thoughts. And remember, your thoughts don't create your reality. Your thoughts create your feelings, and your feeling creates your behavior, and your behavior gets you the result that you are experiencing now. The second step in the psychological process of experiencing growth, dealing with the terror barrier, is reason. In this illustration, the person continues to get X-type results they do not want, which are caused by the X-type conditioning or thoughts. And even though as a conscious level they create an idea of living the life they want to live, illustrated by the why, nothing in their result changes because they just deal with the why idea on a conscious level, and because they have not internalized it, they do not act on it. So the person can mentally see themselves with what they want. They can even think about what they want. But nothing in their life changes because they have never internalized the idea. The third step in psychological process of experiencing growth by dealing with the terror barrier is conflict. Before we cover the state of conflict, it is important for us to bring to your attention again the idea a person is emotionally involved with control the vibration they are in. Vibration on a conscious level is referred to as feeling, and although the result they are getting are what they do not want, they feel comfortable in the vibration they are because they have been living with the same vibration every day, probably most of their lives. In the illustration above, the individual becomes emotionally involved with the why idea. The moment the Y-type idea is impressed upon the X-type conditioning, the electrical system in the individual's body goes wary, and they are in a XY vibration. Worry, fear, and anxiety strike. The worry on a conscious level, the fear on a subconscious level, the anxiety on a physical level. The whole three of them hit so fast and with such impact, the result is the individual mind is in a terrible state. The new Y idea is driving them ahead and the X idea is driving them back. The conflict is unbearable. They can't go ahead, they don't want to go back, and they can't stay where they are. Going ahead is the answer. It's how their life will improve. However, a lack of understanding of exactly what is taking place inside the person causes the person to retreat to familiar territory. They quickly bounce off their terror barrier all the way back to the bondage and then rationalize to themselves why that is a good place to be. It's comfortable, they are familiar with it, and they settle for it. Understanding permits a person to step forward into growth and freedom. The doubt, fear, and anxiety have not left. However, through understanding or study, they know if they persist, it will leave. By continually getting involved with the why idea and acting on it, in spite of the fear, over a relatively short period of time, the conditioning changes and they are living in a brand new world created for themselves by their action. The greatest deterrent that is stopping a person from going through the terror barrier to freedom is in your hands. They are not able to see where the money, the help, all the things they will need for the manifestation of this why idea will come from. The ignorance causes a limiting and destructive mental process to begin to take place. This process causes such discomfort that their conscious attention becomes focused on the negative side of their situation and as a result the negative side of life. Such thinking prevents them from continuing to move onward and upward in the direction of their goal. Let me describe ignorance. Doubt or worry are registered on a conscious level. As the doubt is internalized, it causes fear on a subconscious level. That fear must be expressed the only way it can be, through the body. The body moves into a vibration more commonly referred to as anxiety. People don't express anxiety, it is internalized. The anxiety is suppressed. The suppression turns into depression. Depression is actually anger turned inward. The depression turns into dis-ease. The dis-ease expressed in the body causes the body to break down and move into a state better known as disintegration. Let's look at knowledge. The opposite of doubt and worry is understanding. It exists on a conscious level. Understanding leads to an emotional state which is faith. Faith is expressed on a physical level as well-being. That's a good vibration. Well-being is never suppressed, it is expressed. The individual is sending out good energy into the universe, and of course the universe rewards them by sending them like energy back. As previously shown, ignorance leads to everything a person does not want, while knowledge puts you on the path that we are all meant to follow. You will notice that element that stands between understanding and knowledge is study. Although there are many forms of study, it is the only means by which a person can develop the understanding required to go from one success to another, thereby creating the life that you've been designed to enjoy. Remember, you are either creating or disintegrating. It is a choice. So what will you choose?